Hi, my name is Melissa Hall. I'm the concierge slash resident ghostess here at the beautiful and historical Hotel Galvez and Spa. There was actually talk of building the Hotel Galvez in 1898. That was the year that we lost the beach hotel, which was actually built on the beach due to a fire. That was an all-wooden hotel. It was a luxurious hotel, and once that hotel burned down, Galveston didn't have anything like it on the island. So like I said, there was talk of building the Hotel Galvez in 1898. Unfortunately, due to the 1900 storm, that was pushed back just a few years. So we were actually built as a symbol of recovery following that devastating storm that happened September 8th in 1900. We were built, we actually opened our doors in June 10th at 6 p.m. in 1911. And again, like I said, as a symbol of recovery following that devastating storm. Certainly. We have always had experiences here at the Hotel Galvez. Now, I'll tell you, we have a little bit of everything. We have children all the way up. We've had reports of pirates. Like I said, a little bit of everything. We even have ghost dogs. We have 2 ghost dogs here at the Hotel Galvez. On the 5th floor, we have a large yellow dog that has been seen by guests and also been brushed up against, guest legs. On the 3rd floor, we have a small dog that likes to jump up on the bed, do the little circles, and then lay down next to people. So I think just looking at the property, you look at the property, people drive up nowadays, and it's like as soon as you look at it, it's like, my gosh, this place has to be haunted. And I think just because, this year we turn 110, the historical and haunted aspect kind of go hand in hand. And I think that's where the Galvez gets most of its haunted history. It has been built upon I would probably say the last 10 to 15 years has been built upon, and we started doing the ghost tours. And of course, right now paranormal travel is at an all-time high. So we just get so many guests that come down just for the ghost here at the Hotel Galvez. There is. I'm going to tell you the story of our most famous ghost first, and then I'll tell you one that has quickly become one of, let's see, was that really somebody or was that one of our spirits? We don't know. So our most famous spirit is Audra. She was our lovelorn bride. She would stay in room 501. She was in her mid-20s. She was engaged to a mariner who would sail in and out of the port of Galveston. 501 is the room that she would stay in while he was at sea. When it was time for his ship to come back in, she would take the elevator up to the 8th floor, then climb the narrow steps to the west turret. And there, sheltered from the wind, the rain, and the weather, she would keep an eye out for her fiance's ship. But word got back to her that there was a mighty storm at sea, that the ship went down, and all hands on deck were lost. So in her despair, she took that elevator up that one last time. This time, as she climbed the narrow steps, she carried a rope with her, and she ended up hanging herself. Now, the saddest part of the story is her fiance, very much alive, showed back up to the Hotel Galvez just a few short days later looking for his bride-to-be, who unfortunately is no longer in the land of the living, but she is now one of our long-term non-paying guests. She is just one of many. Like I said, she is the most famous one that we have. 501 is our most famous requested room, our most haunted and most requested haunted room that we have. But I do have a gentleman that I actually have 3 photos of, which in the paranormal world is almost unheard of. And I actually, this photo was actually given to me by a guest that actually did my ghost tour. This was right after I started them about 5.5 years ago. And it was the first photo that I came across. Would y'all like to see that? Oh. So this is the first photo. Excuse me. This was the 4 ladies photographed here. They actually did my ghost tour and dinner. After dinner, before heading up to their room, they came down to our haunted bathrooms, which are right here by the spa. They came down and took a selfie. It wasn't until they were up in their room that they noticed that they'd captured one of our spirits. You see him? Let's just say they were waiting. I'm just a little bit more, certainly.
And that's the women's bathroom.
This is the ladies' room. There was a couple of people that didn't like that he was in the ladies' room, but I do have a story behind that, and I'll tell you why he's in the ladies' room. So I actually have let me finish with this, and I'll come back and tell you what I know about him, okay? So like I said, the ladies here, after they got in the room and they seen the gentleman in the mirror, let's just say they were waiting on me the very next morning. They said, Melissa, we've already been back down there. They said we lined ourselves up exactly the way that we were. They said the only way that he would be there is if he was standing right in front of us. And I'm looking at the photo and I said, oh no. I said, you see this right here? I said, he's actually standing right beside you, looking at you in the mirror. This is a recessed alcove. So he came up. It's a lot easier for an apparition to show itself full body in a reflective surface than it is to come up full bodied apparition right in front of you. It takes a lot less energy to do this. In fact, I don't know if it actually takes any energy to do this, because we're not seeing this with our naked eye. So, but he's, like I said, he's quickly became my most well-known spirit next to Audra. So this was actually the second photo that I had of him. So this was Alicia. She actually does ghost tours here in Galveston. She owns her own company now. This was back in 2009. This is a little darker photo, but I have one that I've lightened up for you. She was married in this room, like I said, in 2009, July of 2009. She had, let's just say, a party crash. What is it, a wedding crasher? Is that what we'd call him? He is a wedding crasher. He was not an invited guest to the wedding. So, and that was, like I said, this was about 2 weeks later that I actually had someone show me this photo. And I actually, I happened to show the ladies in white. I showed that photo to a guest that happened to go on one of her ghost tours. And she says, let me show you what I have. And it took about 2 weeks, and we finally met up. We're the bestest of friends now. So although we have Audra, our lovelorn bride, Alicia, I like to call her the bride of the Galvez. So apparently there's something, that doesn't mind her being here. So that was the second photo that I had of him. The other, let's just say, this was April of 2019. This was a private ghost tour that I was doing. We were in the elevator. We were heading up to the 5th floor. 8 of us got on the elevator. 8 of us got off the elevator. We knew everybody on there. I got a phone call from Kathy Catchings, who owns Mysticats down on the Strand. She says, Melissa, I think I caught your friend in the elevator with us. And sure enough, she did. Now, this gentleman I have done some research on, and like I said, the first photo, he was in the bathroom. A lot of the ladies didn't care for that. I've met many interesting people doing what I do here, and some of those are mediums. I've had a medium join my tour and bring maybe half my tour, say 15, would be of their students, and those are the ones that are working on their abilities. And so this was a mixed tour. So I had a medium and half of her students, and the other half of the tour was, regular guests. And that was one of the most interesting tours I'd ever had. As soon as we walked over and I'm speaking about the gentleman in the restroom, she says, Melissa, she said, he worked here. And Mr. Bobby, our late guest ambassador, had always told me from the very first photo, he says, Miss Melissa, he looks so familiar. He says, I swear he used to work here with me. And I kind of, put it in the back of my mind, didn't think about it until like that second photo showed up. And then I started getting a little bit more curious. And then I started asking around. And sure enough, he did work here from 1964 to 1976. He also worked at the old Galveston Club, which is where our bar came from. He also worked at the Artillery Club. He is actually buried in the same cemetery where Mr. Bobby is buried. So I have census records that have him in there. I know who he is, but out of respect for his family, I'm not going to put it out there, just in case there's still family on the island. But he did, the medium told me, they said, Melissa, he did work here, and that confirmed, that I already knew that. And she says, he hangs out here. She says, when he worked here, these were the executive offices. And what guests don't know, if you're standing and looking at that bathroom door, if you look over to the left, there's a door that says employees only. There's still 2 executive offices there. And they said he would go cool off in the restroom in the executive office when it was so hot. Well, this is my favorite room to cool off in. In the middle of summer, you could always walk in this room, and it's usually the coldest room in the hotel. So I could understand why he would walk to the executive offices to cool off. So, but like I said, he has quickly became one of my most famous ghosts here at the Galvez. I've personally been doing the ghost tours about 5.5 years. I was actually over, it was our sister property, the Tremont House. I started over there. I was there for about 3 years, and it's just as haunted as we are. But you know, we have that famous Lovelorn Bride, and I've been doing the ghost tours, like I said, here for about 5.5 years. And I tell you, that first ghost tour I did, it was the scariest thing I ever did in my life. And people, the executive office or committee, they were worried about me. It's like, I don't have a problem talking. I could talk to a stranger for hours, but put me in front of a camera and everything goes out the window. And that's what it was with the crowd. I mean, it's like, I was terrified, but it's something I've gotten a little bit more, at ease with over the years. And I feel very comfortable talking about the spirits now. I have had many guests who come to me and tell me that they have experienced different things. Oh my gosh, so many, I don't even know where to start. Well, let me start with, and I have a photo with this one too. So actually, and this gentleman and his wife actually did my ghost tour and dinner. And I always tell people, if you're ghost hunting, you want to take photos in series of threes. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You want to catch progression. Progression is harder to debunk than say just one photo of something. So this gentleman, he was actually in bed, and this is his bed here. His wife was in the bathroom here. And he said, Melissa, he said, I felt pressure on the bed. And I said, okay. And I said, well, what did you do? He says, nothing. I didn't see anything. He says, then I looked over. He said, I thought it was my wife. He says, I looked over and the bathroom door still closed. He says, then I realized it wasn't my wife. He says, then I felt the pressure again. He says, and I remembered what you said about the photos, the 3 photos. He said, I reached over on the nightstand, grabbed my phone. He took what he thought was 3 photos. He hit burst shot. So he had about 100 photos of her. And if you could see, it's a little girl. And what she's wearing, it looks like a nightgown. And you could actually see the split right down the middle, like it is a little dressing gown or a little robe. And I think that most of our spirits that we have here at the hotel, the children, most of them are seen wearing white. And I think that's because most of them actually perished wearing their night clothes.
Was that in the orphanage?
We think that we think some of our spirits come from maybe the orphanage. None of the spirits that we have here, especially the children, almost every interview that I've ever given, I've always said nothing holds these spirits here. We weren't built until 1911. The storm was in 1900. So, I feel like these spirits were free to roam the island. They choose to be here. And I think that's why ours are so happy. If you had a choice to be anywhere on this island for all of eternity, it's not such a bad place to be, the Hotel Galvez. So I think they look at the ballrooms as their playgrounds and the guests and me as their babysitters. I actually had, Dickens on the Strand, the festival with all things Dickens, Charles Dickens. So this was my costume, and I had to put it in black and white because it literally matched the carpet and the draperies in this room. But I actually did a ghost tour this day, and I was standing on the 5th floor. I was talking to some guests that we had just finished the ghost tour, and all of a sudden, and in my mind, I could see a little boy running down the hallway and just whoosh, kind of hit my dress, and my skirt just flounces out, and the guests are like, oh my, they said, what was that? And I said, oh, it's just a little one. But like I said, they're probably looking at me going, why in the world is she dressed like that? Or, it could have brought back memories for them. We don't know. But that was a pretty interesting story. I love that. And like I said, I know it was just one of the children wondering, why in the world is she dressed like that? And see, I don't try to convince anybody that we're haunted. I'll leave that to them. They could come upon their own conclusions. We have had, you asked if people have had experiences. We have had a few that haven't had experiences that I wouldn't say scary. It was scary to them, and it probably is scary to most people. Let's just say one of them was in 501. Let's just say it was stormy. A cold front was coming in. So anytime the Gulf is churned up, wind is roaring, that's energy, and our spirits thrive off that energy. Well, he has a photo of what he captured outside of 501 that looks like a bride. He took it from inside the room. His wife was on the 6th floor. She would not stay in 501 with him. So he was brave, but she was not. And they had a walkie-talkie. They were talking back and forth. And at one point, the wind, this cold front that was coming through, the wind was so loud. Tui said that she could not even hear her husband, that it was so loud. It was like it was just in that room, just right there with him. And he was so terrified. Let's just say before dawn, they gathered. He had a dog with him. And it was so cute. Huddy Monster had pajamas that had a little skeleton on it. But anyway, so cute. Let's just say they all left the hotel and they're driving up and down Seawall, just trying to get their bearings, trying to grasp hold of what he just experienced. Thinking he's seen the Lovelorn Bride, and they end up in Kroger's parking lot. And if you've ever been at Kroger's parking lot at dawn or dusk, it's a scene out of The Birds with Alfred Hitchcock, The Birds. So they have videos of Huddy Monster, the dog, just staring at these birds. And like I said, they're just going crazy. And when they walked back into the hotel, they ended up coming back to the hotel, and they said it was just getting light. And they said it was the strangest thing. They said as they walked through the lobby to the elevator, it was like everything around them was like set back in the 1920s, 1930s. And they just said all the women were wearing the long gowns. They said the men were just dressed like they were going to a ball. But they said it was just so active as they were walking through the lobby. And then once they get inside the elevator, they just kind of look at each other, and it's like, oh my gosh, what did we just experience? So it was pretty amazing. That actually just made it on TV too. That story. That was an interesting one.
We have gotten so much from you, but before.
Energy, well, let's just say the wind blowing is energy. Water is energy. Energy does not dissipate. Energy just is. And that's the way, the spirits, their energy. And they could draw off of our energy. They could draw off of a tablet, anything electrical. But one of the reasons why they say Galveston is so haunted is because it's surrounded by water, and water is just a fantastic conductor for that spiritual energy. But high winds, construction, that's energy, anything that would disrupt them. And I wouldn't even say that it would disrupt them. It's just you could feel it. You could feel it on the day. And the hurricanes. I'm going to tell you one story. I'm sorry. This was, and I tell you what, it was a beautiful day to me. And I walked around, and the hotel, it was weird. This was not even Hurricane Harvey. It was a few years before that, and it was a tropical storm that was coming through. So there wasn't many people in the hotel. Lots of people, come to Galveston, but when there's a threat of a hurricane or a tropical storm, they tend to leave. So we had very few guests in the hotel, but it was so different that day. I walked in and just, the energy, you could feel it. Every hair on your arm was just standing on end, the back of your neck. Like I said, you could just feel something was different about the hotel. And I really felt that the energy was the children being afraid, because with the high winds, and they've already experienced one hurricane, and just the feeling of this. And it was so different, because I remember walking into the terrace ballroom, and it's like there was little pockets of families everywhere just having their own fun, like playing with cars and all that. And I walked in here, and I just felt the need just to talk to the spirits. And I did, and I spoke with them out loud, and I let them know that there was a storm coming, that it wasn't going to be bad, that they don't have to worry about it. Just be easy, just take it easy, don't be afraid. There's nothing to be afraid of. And I tell you what, my heart felt a lot lighter after that. And when I walked out of this room, I felt like the energy was a lot lighter.
That's amazing.
So it is. I'm sorry. I love this aspect. I never saw myself doing ghost tours for a living, but just, it's something that just happened to come with the job that I completely forgot about when I transferred over here. So.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. It is my pleasure. Audra?
Audra. The 8th floor, can we go up there and see that? Or
there's not much to see. I could show you what it looks like today. So this, back when the hotel was built, So this is the turret. So, I mean, the only time that somebody goes up there now is to change the light bulbs. And it's so funny because when these light bulbs go out, you would not believe how many locals call us and let us know that one of our turret lights are out. But this is just a crawl space now that they get in there just to change a light bulb. But I do want to show you where it actually was. And I told you it's been so long since I've even had my tour tablet. I don't even know where to go with this. I'm sorry, guys. Like I said. All right. So here we are. So this is 501 right here. This is 501. So the turret that she actually hung herself in is right here. So this is where she hung herself. So, but I'll tell you one thing, the 7th and the 8th floor, so you have to have a key to go up there. We only have suites. So if you have a suite, you know, on the 7th or 8th floor, your key, you put in the key panel and it will take you to the 7th or 8th floor after you insert your key and then hit the floor button. So I had my tour with me. I didn't have 501 available. So we were going to go up to the 7th floor right here. And I get in, I put my key, I hit 7, we end up on 8. And we get out and I'm like, I am so sorry, guys. I said, do y'all mind taking the stairs? And we took the stairs down to the 7th floor. Well, when you walk down the stairs, you actually walk by the entrance to the turret. And it's a big utility door. Well, I walked by and I looked and the door was wide open. And I'm like, wow, that's strange. And I actually voiced this to my guest. And I reached over and the door was completely locked. The door handle would not move, but it was wide open. And I'm like, okay, so I closed the door. A few days later, the exact same thing happened. I hit the 7th, ended up on the 8th, came back down, and sure enough, the door was wide open again, and then it was completely locked. So I actually had some guests that were staying on the 8th floor, and they ended up, she says, you know, I just wanted to go down and just to see. She was into the ghost. And she says, Melissa, I walked by. She says, that door was closed. She says, I tried to open it. It was locked. It wouldn't budge. And she says, my husband got curious. He came down. We took the steps down, walked by. He reached over, touched the door, and it just pushed open. And he said he closed it. And he says, I tried to do it. It wouldn't even budge. And he tried it again, and it just opened up. So, yeah, there's no rhyme, no reason, you know, what and why things happen here. They just do. Right. So I told you about our most famous room, 501. Would y'all like to see a photo that was taken in 501? This was actually taken during one of my ghost tours. There was 32 of us in the room, and I'm over in the corner. I mean, 32 is a lot of people, especially in one of our rooms, because we are a historical hotel. So there's 32 people in the room, and I'm telling Audra's story, and all of a sudden I hear a gasp. And what it was, a woman's husband was taking photos of the bathroom, and she saw what he photographed, and it stopped me mid-sentence. I said, what is it? You know, it scared me too. Well, this is the glass partition between the sink and the tub. This is what she captured, or he captured, I'm sorry. So it's a soldier. You can see the epaulette on his shoulder, the high collar of that uniform jacket. And if you look, what looks to be war paint, maybe a mohawk. Yes, so when I was researching this, a lot of the military ships, when they would set sail and land in North America, not just Galveston, they thought if they resembled the natives, they would be accepted by the natives. Well, you know, ours were the Karankawas. So, I mean, hence the war paint and the mohawk. That was my story, and I stuck to it for about a year until I had a soldier on my tour. He could care less about the ghost. He was just there with his family. And I showed him, you know, as I was sharing this photo, he's like, Melissa, can I borrow your tablet? I'm like, okay, never had anybody ask to do that before. He says, look behind him. He says, that's the shoulder of another soldier. You could even see the pin on his collar. This is the side of his neck and the front of his throat. So what I thought was a mohawk is actually another soldier. And then as soon as he pointed that out to me, I could make out the bill of this soldier's hat. And now what this is, maybe it is war paint. We don't know. I mean, they're going to battle. Maybe they did, you know. But like I said, you never know what you're going to see up on that 5th floor, that west wing, or anywhere for that matter. You know, like I said, we have dogs, we have soldiers, we have Indians, a little bit of everything. Lots and lots of children. Oh, it's not spooky. Let me. There is nothing spooky. Oh, did y'all just get scared? So I have to tell you, when I first started doing the tours, I'm a screamer and a runner. So if something happens, you know, I mean, hospitality law, you have to knock twice on a door. So I take my entire tour up to 501, you know, and it'd be empty, and I'm knocking, and they're kind of looking like, why are you knocking? And I'm like, well, hospitality law, we have to knock twice. I remember knocking one time, and then the door opened. I screamed. The front desk had checked somebody in. So I screamed, and I ran past my ghost tour. So, but like I said, I was a screamer and a runner at one time. But like I said, not everything that we have is, but this is a sweet story. So we have a little boy that likes to hang around on that west wing, that 5th floor west wing. I call him Robert. This was actually captured by a guest that was staying in in 501 itself. And y'all might not be able to see it from that far away, but you could see a little boy's face in the orb. And to me, it looks just like the little Gerber baby. So, but like I said, I mean, orbs, you know, you capture orbs everywhere in the hotel. That is one of my favorite ones because of the face. This was actually captured by the guest that stayed in 501 the night after the 2 soldiers were captured. And remember those soldiers, there was one right behind the other. This was the first photo they took in that room. Look at the 2 orbs. There's one right behind the other. They're in the same stance that they were in that reflective surface. So,
That's so crazy.
isn't it? It's a crazy kind of thing here.